So I'm going to talk about caution in relationships in this video. And in life, we should always be in a state of caution. And we should always be watching what's going on. And a lot of young people don't understand this. And if you could teach this to somebody from the time they're young, it would really benefit their life. Make sure we always know what's going on here. And this is important in relationships. Friendships, girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, starting families, all kinds of relationships. Everything. You always have to make sure that you know what's going on. So the world is like, much like you go to the dog park and it's a bunch of dogs and we know what goes on in the environment of dogs. When you step out of your door in life into the world, it is an environment of humans, and you got to understand what's going on. For example, people are starting families. They don't even really know what they're doing. They get into relationships like girlfriends and boyfriends when they're young. They don't even know they're starting a family. They don't even know what the short end of the stick is. They don't know what it means to get the short end of the stick in terms of work, money, time, effort, faith, commitment, anything to this relationship. They don't know what it means, for these things in life to be important yet. A lot of people don't know until they hit 30. Things aren't working out for them, and they're starting to figure out what's going on. You might be getting into a relationship with a dangerous person. People do things that are criminal in relationships out of the blue. The person who had something bad happen to them probably wasn't expecting it from that person to begin with. Things that are criminal, things that are, dangerous, could be even in the form of violence. You think anybody who had domestic violence happen in their home saw that coming from the start? Probably not. You think a lot of people who got screwed over in terms of money, they probably didn't even see it coming. So it's important to know and understand what's going on in a relationship of any kind. It could be a friendship. There's kids out there that are getting into stolen cars that their friends stole, and now they're in some way involved in stealing cars. And it was a friendship. And they might have not even wanted to get into that stolen car that night. So you got to be careful who you're making friends with, who you're making boyfriends with, who you're making girlfriends with, who you're making anything with. You got to be careful, because you just end up getting the short end of the stick. You really want to be a good person yourself and only associate with other people who also have a good mindset with things.